Did not know that was up now. Okay, let's take it in.
It's on the other side. There's a little twisty on the other side. On the other side. Yeah. There we go.
Hey.
As I came home the other night, drunk as drunk could be, I saw a horse outside the door where my old horse should be. Slapped the empty on the counter and tipped the barkeep the last dollar I had. Closed the door tight behind me and imagined the skin of my back melted to the frame of the pub. Each step since, a struggled pull as my body drags behind me. Stumbled home with a whiskey cough. A woman smiles down from her porch, a cigarette caked between mule teeth, pinched her lip to a deviled curl. There's a magazine rack against the window at Colucci's. Took too long to convince myself that it wasn't your hand on the glass. As I came home the other night, drunk as drunk could be, I saw a coat behind the door where my old coat should be. Slapped the empty on the counter and tipped the barkeep the last dollar I had. Bit off the tip of my toothpick, nervously flipped it tall ways in my mouth as I zipped up my jacket. Every car that passed was a black rock rolling down a hill. A near miss, so I spit where they'd been. My tongue is a tequila worm. Think scattered thoughts and cackle aloud at the idea of it all. The missing cobblestone in the street, filled with runoff. 2 hornets float with the ripple in the wake. The rose bush outside of my cottage is dead. Took too long to convince myself that love is not temporary. As I came home the other night, drunk as drunk could be, I saw a pipe up on the chair where my old pipe should be. Slapped the empty on the counter, and she cracks you another. 3 soggy couples come in from the rain to join the mass. The man next to you rolls a joint, your bar stool wobbles. Hum a song that isn't playing anymore. Test to see how hard you can press your fingers to the sides of the can without leaving dents. The bathroom door behind you swings open and closed like the cylinder of a revolver pointed at the room. The room gets louder. In the back of the room, 3 people push out a laugh, and one of them is a man with an $8 beer, and one of them is the most beautiful woman you've ever seen in your life, and one of them is not you, and your Gansett can crunches into a jagged cut. Walk from this place too quick, leave the laughter to hollow out the bar, forget to kill your tab. You hate yourself for noticing that the rain spits hardest when you focus all of your attention on the storm. As I came home the other night, drunk as drunk could be, I saw a head upon the bed where my old head should be. The tide is high. Everything is dark. Tonight, the wind pummels its heavy fists into the sea. What's up, Orlando? Thank you. I have a tab open. Is there anyone that could run over there and get me a beer?
What kind of beer do you?
Oh no, she's got it, man. Thank you. But I do appreciate the plug you did earlier. I saw it. Cool. So hi everybody. I love you. My name's Beau Williams. I'm from Portland, Maine. That's that Portland, not that Portland. And I'm on a poetry tour. Going down the whole East Coast. Started up in Worcester, Massachusetts, down to Pittsburgh, down to DC, all the way. This is the furthest south I'm going, and then right back up again. I got books for sale. I'm going to stop talking because talking's dumb, and I'm going to read poetry because poetry is not as dumb.
Woo!
Oh, you are the best.
Hey.
Thanks. In my left hand is a worn gray winter. Oh, this is. Can everybody hear me without the microphone? Maybe not really. Okay, cool. It's got like a tingy sound. Oh, it's okay.
That's because it's too loud.
Oh, my bad.
I had to turn it up for.
That's alright.
But I trust you to yell.
Sorry, I just don't want to blow anybody's eardrums out.
Try that. Is that better?
Is this better? Can you hear me out back?
It's
No?
Now it's not doing
Got it.
anything.
Oh, jeez.
Help, Joe. He's an audio engineer. And a barista. Tip your baristas.
Woo!
I bring it?
This is a great time to buy a beer.
Yeah, it is.
Hey.
And leave a hefty tip. Is it better?
How's that? Oh, that's better. Okay.
Cool.
In my left hand is a worn gray winter hat that my grandmother knitted me years back. It hugged my head the first time I got my tongue pierced, and it held my brains in when the sledding hill bent my forearm in half in the winter break of 2001. Across the room are stacks of old handwriting exercises and quizzes. Dog-eared 8.5 by 11s with fridge-worthy comments in red and blue ink. The stack of my childhood that I deemed not important enough to remember, but that Mom someday might want to sift her hands through when the walls stop talking back. The first teacher I can remember is Miss Sanger. 2nd grade, and with a soft tone and even bluer eyes, it's a wonder I learned anything else that year. April was the first girl I can ever remember to insult me publicly with the schoolyard chant, crisscross applesauce, do me a favor and get lost. 15 years later, the internet says drugs got her in a chokehold. Patrick Waitman is dead. Well, I can't find him on Facebook anyway. He sent me his lucky charm. It's a staple bent to the shape of a P for Patrick, a golden ticket if our 9-year-old eyes had ever seen one. Stephanie, Denny, and I still talk about the time we lit up the roller rink on my birthday, but distance and adulthood make the calls much less frequent. I've carved the excess fat from the walls, and my bedroom's starting to look as though maybe someone else could grow up here now. My mom's done the same thing, but with the rest of the house. I picture my bed as smaller and angled differently along the far wall. Young eyes a nightlight helping young eyes adjust to sleep in the dark. The bed is now a couch under the window with 2 tall speakers facing inward towards a teen reading the lyrics to his favorite song. The lyrics are now a comic book, and the comic book is now a textbook, a porno, a college acceptance letter, a breakup note. The window is closed and the snow is falling harder than any of us can stop it. Nobody talks about why our lips chap like cardboard. Dad is still stuck on the small alley of a crooked beach while Mom cries alone in her room. This is becoming the emptiness that I dry heave into the bathroom at work, body creating a physical response to something that isn't there. She says he isn't a bad man, he's just sick. Neither of us knows what this means, but we repeat it. When hope becomes one sandal lost on another whiskey stumble home, I won't remember his face in every dead end. I am a cramped leg, bricks unhinge a labyrinth below my feet, beg my understanding through mangled teeth. That hatred is the suicide of love. That hatred is the suicide of love. Thank you.
Hey.
That's really weird because I grew up in the Dade City, Zephyr Hills area. I was born in Tampa Women's Hospital, and Stephanie Denny actually is a real person, and I don't normally like to say real people's names, but I forgot she lives in Orlando, so that I was like waiting for someone to pop up and be like, oh, I know her. But I mean, Orlando's pretty big, so it's cool. All right, good.
That's not funny, guys.
This is one I wrote, and I haven't read it really in front of anybody. And I know you're not supposed to do that when you're on tour. You're supposed to read like stuff that you can sell. But I don't give a shit because I want to read a poem because I like it, and I like you guys. So here's a poem.
Shit you like?
New shit.
Come on in. There's really dope poetry going on.
Ooh, nice.
We eat river oysters to a sweet and rolling trill. I secure a guest, the tune rings from the shell. She thinks I speak of her. I thought myself a bit smoother. Again, I am wrong and American in a wet city that lets me know. I remember the oysters rep as an aphrodisiac, little fuckers of the stream. I am almost certain this is not my intent. She learns they are alive. I imagine we to be too. The rain stops outside just long enough to build trust. Follow where the humans shift in pubs, where they fall into pints. find ourselves tucked under a pitch cloud that laughs rain into the alleys. Another bit of mockery. Trust at least one of us remembers it romantic. We pinch beneath the smallest umbrella as the sky falls into wet strings. Here, I forget the river oyster's voice as I fight not to drown in front of a girl in the rain. We swim simply in a straight path with backs to the rainbow. Would bet on it being there had money existed or any other soul. She talks of a boy with her heart in his wallet. I notice I am underwater. I don't bring it up. My shoes fill. We hug away the way a warm hand cups a pint. A few of my words spill onto her. She wipes me off of her shirt. Certain I know how a cloud bruises itself a rainbow. Certain I know the truth to why we bury such hope into busted skin. Thank you. Yeah, so just a couple small things. I was recently lucky enough to have the ability to go to Ireland for a month, and I did that right before the tour happened. I was there for a month, and I fucking fell for that place. I am madly in love with Galway, and I'm gonna do everything I can to get back there. Yeah, so I wrote a lot of poems about the area, about falling in love. Yeah, so I'm gonna read one more that I wrote when I was over there. I wrote this in the Highland Inn in Ballyvaughan, Ireland. If you were to find me, it'll be next to the seat that I saved you. I am still a bit sober as of yet, though the tap will bow before the pen gives out. If you prefer me pissed, then walk a lap to the bog and back. Won't take but a song or two. A woman will ask if this seat is taken. Her cheekbones will be cupped hands overpoured with freckles. They will spill through her fingers, splash over her shoulders. I will wonder to which god she prays that would let loose such heaven. I will wonder what brilliant clock would stutter long enough to hide such poetry in the stars across her. I will wonder why words have yet to know my tongue, so I'll wash it back with a pint. If motivation is to join me on the sesh, may it arrive a sopping baked. May it be draped in the 3 sheets that the wind takes for its own. May it kick the loo door down to watch me knocked upon the throne. May it grab me by the ears, stare into my face and yell, is your blood not filled with ink, man? Is your chest not filled with hearts? May my spirit be as saved as this bar stool. May this bar stool grow a lighthouse from its back, steal the breath from your lungs, feed it back to you in beams. Let that which needs to find me do so when it must. May I recognize the sails before it passes into dusk. Thank you. Cool. Yeah. So this is a book called Uncorked, and it's $5, and it's fine. I'm gonna read a poem from it right now. So earlier, I read a poem about my parents breaking up, and I understand that that's like my parents ended up getting back together. My parents. I know, right? And I know that never happens, and I know that I am very lucky to have had that happen. So I wanted to document it in poetry because that's how I live. My dad tiled the entire kitchen floor with broken hand. His focus tight, his cast a loose ace. Only deadline now is his own and a promise he made to my mother. Wait. On the ride home, my mom sings along with the werewolf who's drunk on pina coladas from Trader Vic's. Her pitch was perfect. His technique precise. Each measurement a well-centered proof of love. My father has a sailboat in his chest that he named after my mother. It sank. He plugged the holes with wine corks and tossed the bottles into the sea. My father knows emotion in the precision of craftsmanship. My father knows how to undrink a bottle of wine. He is a power drill with a second chance attachment. He is a nail. Hey, Sorry. He has a nail gun with a love letter carved into each spike. When she gets home, she tucks Warren Zevon back into the radio. Walks into their new house, the love of each other's lives on either side of a circular saw. These days, his smile is a wall stud. She is a Victorian happy. She wears forgiveness's earrings, paid more than she should have, but got a damn good deal on a kitchen floor. Now you don't have to stare at my butt, and I can look at you. We doing all right on time? We doing good?
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Word. All right, cool. I'm just gonna keep reading poems then.
Yes.
All right, cool. Is everybody having fun?
Yes, sir.
Yay! All right. If I start boring you, you can throw things at me. Specifically, money and beer. I'm okay with you throwing those at me. Right? Me first, and then that guy. All right. Cool. So, I do a lot of workshops in high schools and colleges, and I'm from Portland, Maine, where everybody is straight white people, because that's what Maine is, really. So I like to read this poem a lot because I'm a straight white people, and this poem is about recognizing privilege. And a lot of these high school kids, I don't really get it. And then I read, not me, ooh, look at me, but like, I try and introduce them to the idea of, hey, maybe you should understand why things are happening the way they are in the world. And so, I do what I can with what I got. I can hold my head underwater until my heart stops. I can make my car go fast until it is consumed by a building. I can push the keys of a typewriter until it sounds like a box full of applause. I can wear my hat forwards or backwards. I can walk up to a police officer and insult them or ask for directions. I can wear any color shirt or none at all. I can get the job. I can drink whiskey until my eyes bleed. I can kiss my girlfriend until my ex cries. I can make my bed look like a bowl of feathers or a bin of needles. I can drive to San Francisco and tell nobody. I can hug a friend until they cannot breathe. I can hug a friend until I cannot breathe. I can be his smile. I can be her language. I can walk down the street fearless. I can walk in the dark fearless. I can call my dad, tell him I love him. I can kiss my friends on the lips. I can cut her in the mouth. I can text them until they burn. I can lock myself in my room. I can wear a mask in the shape of a keyboard. I can write my entitlements into a poem and read it to a choir. Oh, how we sing. I'm of the idea that if you don't check yourself, somebody else is going to check you, and it's way less fun when somebody else checks you. So, try it. Alright. So we'll just keep going with the whole privilege thing. When I was in Ireland, I happened to be I was lucky enough to be part of an artist in residency program, and I got to go to this tiny little arts college, and oddly enough, it was all Americans, which I thought was strange because I flew halfway across the world to another country to hang out with Americans. Very strange. But they were all about integration. So Europe, it's so easy to get from one country to another. So they invited, amongst other people, they invited a group of Palestinian kids over. And we all got together and we went to the admission rep's house, and she's got instruments all over the place. So guitars, like tons of drums. This girl brought a harp. Everybody sings. It was great. I don't sing, as you understood earlier. But at one point I looked and I realized that there was a group of Palestinian kids and then a group of American kids. And they weren't really integrating. The Americans were speaking English, the Palestinian kids were speaking Arabic, and they were just kind of not getting it. And then at one point, one of the girls looks over and she goes, "Oh, did you think we were just going to yell Allah Akbar and blow this place up?" And I looked at her and I was like, "Oh, shit, no, I'm so sorry that you think that. No, absolutely not. Why?" And then, like, obviously, why? Because of what she said next. She goes, "I'm sorry, I just never met an American before, so I just thought that's what y'all thought." And, you know, it's seeing it firsthand like that was something else. But then we started playing music, and we made it a thing. So I wrote a poem about it. A Palestinian musician sings me a song and then asks if she frightens me. Asks if her accent will unplug the skin from my spine. Find my hand to the butt of my gun. I don't own a gun. She is not convinced. I don't blame her. I am every news story and every rubbled hospital. I have 10 tanks in my chest. I am the first white man she has ever seen. I am so sorry. I send out search parties to find her ears, her heart. Her grandmother taught her to become a saint of hidden things. Her sisters taught her to be encyclopedia fists and full shoulders when the threat comes. I cannot be a mouthpiece for a battalion, but I can pick up a drum. I follow her lead. We bumble, we stop, regroup, we blend, become composers in a foreign land. If we could drown out bombs with this crack, then the sky could open like a music note. If we could calm these fires, if we could kill this television in a chorus of climax, we could be a fat thumbprint in a memory. We could be a moment's hesitation and a second thought. Her voice pulls the picture frames tight. My percussion sews them to the walls. I never ask where she comes from. She never asks what the words mean. We just eat notes from the air. This is every answer we need. This song is not a roll in a flower bed. This is a poem belted through a stereo. This is 6 generations in powerful ululation. A gallery of painted rocks and broken noses. This is a mosque full of a good God's voice in perfect rhythm with a superfly beat. Alright. I'm gonna do just a couple more. Are you guys cool? Are we like, everybody looks happy? Alright, awesome. My name's Beau Williams. I have books and shit, and I take card and Cash App, apparently. I just learned what that was, and that's cool. So, alright.
Hey.
So I wrote a poem about my bookshelf because I once was looking at my bookshelf and I don't think I was high, but I was trying to picture what all the characters how they would interact, because I thought that would be cool if like this guy and this person met up and like did something cool. So I wrote a poem about it, and it's called Bookshelf because I'm really creative. On my bookshelf, David Sedaris and Jon Snow kiss in a whirlwind of ice pebbles on a wall above the world. Bukowski throws pencils at Ayn Rand. She fashions them into a cigar box, sets it on his desk. He sets it on fire. They do this every Saturday. Webster used to think he was better than everyone until he choked on dust. Abe Lincoln washes Carrie Brzezinski's feet in the Mississippi. Everybody used to pick on Stephen. He would hide behind his typewriter dressed in all black, and now his kingdom takes up half a tier. Christopher Moore likes to fill condoms with water, hang from the top shelf, and drop them on Saul Williams. Saul gets pissed. Christopher feels horrible, then fills more balloons. Robbie Q's plants died today. George Orwell told him it was going to happen. Christopher, that's my favorite joke. Henry told Jesus and John Krakauer smoke around a dimly lit poker table. John's eyes are glassed over, he folds a flush. Toll accidentally inhales his cigar smoke, hacks his voice hoarse, and lays down 3 jacks. Jesus sets a tab of acid on his tongue, laughs a hysterical one, and throws his Pokemon cards into the air. Anthony Bourdain wants to debone Douglas Adams. After the kitchen closes, they drain the whiskey shelf, ultimately laugh every demon from the bottle. Rick McIntyre's mouth fills with sand when Sylvia's ghost walks by. She kisses his author photo every night before bed. Hermione and Holden Caulfield made love under every page of Summer. Smudged the ink with their bodies, slept each night under the heaviest cover. Their love was a stolen flying car, a body who finds a lover in the rye when he held her. All the hidden rooms unlock, her eyes an opened chamber of secrets. On the last page before autumn, she kisses him unimaginably, tucks him tight into a book jacket. In a far off somewhere, a red-headed boy writes her name in the air with a broken stick. Caulfield wakes up with a paper cut. His own heart, heavy and useless. A fencing bag forgotten at the subway. Something someone else needs. Something he could live without.
Alright, Beau's gonna do one more poem, and I'm gonna pass around this cup for donations because going on tour is really expensive, and you don't make like any money doing poetry. So you guys should put money in this cup. I'm gonna pass it around. Woo! Clap more for him.
I'm like super far from home, and being able to like do what I love to do and reading like my deepest darkest shit for a room full of strangers far away and having you care is really cool. So thank you all very much for this. Oh, and tip Joe and V and buy a bunch of shit. Thank you.
Hey. Keep us not bored.
Yes, keep them not bored. This last poem I wrote because I was in an abusive relationship. Yes, we can, everybody can be in an abusive relationship. You shouldn't be, but it's possible. Then I discovered I could get out, which, it's real. You can. That's an option. And you should do it if you're in one. Just saying. And then I found Portland, Maine, and it helped me be happy. So I find myself eating brunch with my parents and a girl that I really want to marry someday. My parents swear they hear daughter-in-law and her laugh, but this girl's a fighter. Says that family sticks to her teeth like tampered candy, digs her cavities with a trowel. Soon, holidays will be comfortable enough to become incredibly uncomfortable. It is here I will teach myself the art of the backpedal. Sometimes we say things we don't mean, or don't mean the things we say. I love you slips off the tongue way too quick. A reckless child in Skechers, we often find ourselves in places we shouldn't. Hunched over dirty computer screens or tiny checkered tiles with our stomach and our teeth. It's under the heavy jacket of vagabond bottles and a bottle cap crown. We close our eyes, search for our reflection in our own knuckles, but know for certain that in these places we are never truly found. For those who sweat metal splinters in the hollow seconds after I love you, know that that place should never be a waiting room. If she's not there with confidence in her pocket, she's just elsewhere ready to dance with you. Won't you move with her? Seek her out. She'll be the poodle skirt with the happy feet. So ready to groove, I love you does a mean mashed potato. She'll teach you to dance rubber-legged. My favorite canary stretches her smile from Alabama to Maine. Tells me to look up and hang on with my talons when I start to drown. Happiness is an old harmonica just waiting for me to pick it back up. It wants to rock like a front porch orchestra. I can hardly play, but I'd love to learn. There's so much I want to learn, digest diction and books like a tattooed English teacher. Pump up the speakers in my chest and finally stand up for something. The moment we stop looking for ourselves is the moment we will be found, and I will be found. One candle strong alongside 50,000 more. Tie your demons to the twisted roots of the closest tree. We will walk from this forest holy. Thank you.
All right, let's get another round of applause for Beau.
That was amazing. More clapping, guys. All right. So right now what we're going to do is take a 10-minute break. If anyone has any questions, you want to sign up, you want to know how to get into open mics, when it happens, if you're nervous, if you miss your mom, I'll be outside smoking a cigarette. All right, 10 minutes and we'll be back.
Woo!